overview of kind of the water report that we put together here. And going through the data, came up with some keywords. So that's available on the first page here. And we've got some definitions around that side of it. We've got pipeline. The bigger companies are building their own water pipelines to reduce transportation costs. Medium companies are using midstreamers who are providing water services. Small companies are using transportation for the most part. Trucker transportation. So what everybody's still, even if you have a pipeline, there's still a transportation component to it. And then the question is, how much money are you spending on transportation and what does it look like? Frack, if you look at what the key driver is, it's just the changing in fracking. What type of fracking are they using, and then how much water is that consuming? So we're looking in the Texas area, 10x increase of water consumption on that side of it. Disposal, even though a company might be doing a tremendous amount of recycling, there's still a disposal component to it. And then are they using pipelines? Are they using trucking? Those types of things. Wastewater, again, kind of disposal, wastewater. Midstream, I think it's very important that you understand who the midstream companies are in Texas, and then how that applies. Savings, saved. So how much money are they saving on water transportation, water logistics by implementing water infrastructure? Recycle, what's the recycle program? Gallons, how much in the way of water is being used by these companies? So how much water does it take? Flow back, how much, and that comes back to kind of the wastewater component of it. The flow back from the fracking process, how are you handling that? Aquifers are the source of water, so there's very little freshwater usage. Everything comes out of aquifers. The big companies have access to aquifers themselves. Smaller and mid-size will use midstreams or use transportation companies that have access to that. And brackish is a type of water. So you can take these, which we call it, these terminologies here, and I'll just copy gallons. And then down here is the market segmentation that we've looked at. So when we look at what we've done is we've used that account-based selling process. We've looked at an area, so the Strawberry area, and a play on that side of it. And then we've put a list of companies together in that area. And so in this particular case, we got 31 accounts there. Some of them, the data is not nearly as complete. Anybody that's public is where the primary source of data is going to come from. Kind of show you what the revenue is, or large cap. One of the things that's very interesting is the how many people are on LinkedIn, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then how many of those are water related, and then how many wells are they drilling in that particular play, and then how many wells in Texas are they drilling over the last few years. And then there's the data that we've collected. Over here we talk about how many rigs they're operating, how many frac crews they're operating. Gives you an idea of what's going on. And then if I come over and I say Control F, and in this particular case I want to look for gallons, then we can just come in here, we can go find next. So now right away we're saying typically in this area it's taking 3 to 7 millions of water to fracture stimulate a Marcellus well. So it gives you an idea of the amount of water that's being required on that side of it. You can then come over to Wolfcamp, go find next. Well, we don't have any reference there. Eagleford, and then we come in and we're like, okay, what other references? And it kind of gives us an idea of how much water is being utilized and what kind of resources they need. Then we can come over to the next keyword, something like wastewater, and we can put that in here, wastewater. And then same process, you can come in here, say, okay, and then you have to read through, the different sources related to wastewater on that side of it. So, it's a pretty effective way of us being able to help you find some information that you're looking for. So those are the key things that we're looking over, and I would say if you want to go over it with me specifically, but I would come in, I would search these keywords, take a look at the data. Again, one advantage potentially of us being in a spreadsheet, not all of them have responses to it, so we can do some sorting. Most of the sorting that I've done is kind of largest in the area, so sorting that ascending, descending. So I've got that as the guy who is the busiest in that area, and hopefully I've got some good details associated with that. And then just the going back to the individuals, if I look at Pioneer Natural Resources as an example, and we come over here and we looked at LinkedIn, and then I say, okay, I'm looking for Pioneer Natural Resources, and we come into the company, it then does the query of LinkedIn and says, hey, we got 2,800 people in there, and then we can do a Boolean search and say, well, how many of them have water associated with them, and we come up with 237 results. My recommendation, if you're serious about the Texas market, is the next step. We've got the technology to come in here and scrape all of these contacts from all of the major companies that we've got identified there, and we build a database out. Essentially we built 2,000 or 3,000 different people related to water. You can get an idea when you do that what location they're in, what role they play in the within a certain organization, and then ultimately you can look at some LinkedIn and email campaigns. So that's an overview of the data that I provided, and again, if you have any